So June and July this year came with some unexpected challenges that I haven't made a video in a while. I did take some video while I was doing things in the garden, so I thought what I would do is take what I had and put together a video for practice purposes, if nothing else. So here we go. And speaking of unexpected, this is obviously a tree that came down uh, early in June. And while I was out there filming it during the storm, it came down, and I also saw there was a deer. We won't talk too much about the tree. It's still got to be taken care of. It is on my asparagus bed, and it is a bigger job than I want to do. So we'll get that taken care of in the future. But the doe here is, I like to see deer. I like to see animals. We have stuff out there for them to eat that is outside of the garden. But like people, sometimes what you give them is not as much as they want, and they want more. And so eventually I suspected I had a deer in the garden, and that meant that I absolutely had to go buy a motion sensitive camera with night vision. Um, just had no choice. And of course, it showed that she had been in the garden in the evening, sometimes in the morning. And usually, the way that we've kept them out of there is to make sure the garden's full of enough stuff that they don't feel there's not a big open area for them to land. And because of changes to the garden, I guess we had created an open space for her to get in. And you can see here, like, she's eating some weeds. I don't mind that. If that was all she was going to eat in there, like, I wouldn't care if she's in there. She can eat all the weeds and grass she wants to, but that's, like, not how that's going to work. I mean, here she is, beginning to make herself at home in that bed and eat some beans. Apparently, the cucumbers had not sprouted yet, or she ignored them. They're actually doing well. You'll see that in another video. But, yep, just eating my beans like they're her beans. That's what she's doing. Stepped right over that fence and into that bed like it's hers. And now she's committing the ultimate sin, the one that got her caught in the first place. She's over there eating on my tomato plant, which we can't have. And the truth is, this is actually the last time that I caught her in the garden on camera. I've seen her come and kind of look at the edge, but I haven't seen her come in. So I guess I've got it straightened out. We'll maybe do some planting in those spaces. And she is a pretty doe, and I'm glad to see her. I just don't want to see her in my garden. And now maybe I can use this camera for something else. And now more positive wildlife news. The pond and the yard is filled with baby frogs. I haven't seen the big guy, but there are babies everywhere. There was a tree frog on the back door the other day. So yeah, that's good to see. And the other good positive news to talk about is we're going to have grapes this year, it looks like. That's my 3-year-old vine, and it's got tons of grapes on it. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. I have been looking forward to that for quite a while. And so really proud and happy about that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at flowers. Because through all this, even though the garden's messier than usual and I haven't been able to keep up with it like we normally do, we still have the flowers to enjoy. And so I'm going to start talking less, but not totally stop probably. And we're going to enjoy the flowers and hopefully some soothing music. So I lied, it's not all flowers. Here's the tomatoes that I planted at the back of the greenhouse. These are planted in just my compost that I made. They've not been fed or anything. This is them probably about a month and a half ago. You will see them later. And they are glorious now just with that compost. But yeah, the tomatoes and the rest of the plantings around the greenhouse. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's the garden bed that we extended along the front of our garden fence, and these cleons have been amazing. They're still going. They've been going for like 3 months, and they just keep going and giving. But this whole bed is actually really impressive, I think. And again, this is older. All of this video is a couple weeks or even maybe 2 months old. Like I said at the beginning, this was me making do with what I had, and there will be newer footage in the next videos. These are passion flowers we received from a friend, and they did really well. Like, this is a couple months old, and spoiler alert, passion flowers eventually turn into something else. And I know I was lamenting about my elephant ears. These are the two I planted in the woods that came up. They all finally started coming up and are pretty impressive. Again, this is about 2 months ago, and you'll be able to see the change in the next footage. But they're pretty big. You know, my hand, for comparison, didn't have a banana on me. But yeah, they've done really well. The shade garden still needs some weeding, but it's done fairly well too. Moving on. But yeah, elephant ears finally started popping up. Not the usual footage of the keyhole. I just didn't really take any. It definitely looked better and worse than this throughout the year. The dailies were glorious earlier. They're kind of going back. I can never catch those guys open in the afternoon, though I may later have some footage of them in the morning when they like to open in the next video. But this is the keyhole probably about a month or so ago. It's growing, it's green. More flowers and weeds, though you might not know it, and of course the honesty, which really look glorious, those seed heads, and we're gonna spread them around and hopefully have a lot more honesty next year. So yeah, thanks for watching all this. Probably the worst video I've ever made, but that's okay. That's a low bar, or is it a high bar? I'm not sure.